talk about what we do. But when I came into this place 6 years ago, the walls were white. There was an idea for what I wanted to do and a vision. Every single thing you see around here, I had these ideas about what this place would look like as it finally comes together. I couldn't put it together in one day. When you talk about how you've grown over these past, efforts of creative outbursts that we bring together, that's really something that I think about with this space that is, it's been just amazing. We were going through and looking for our calendar photos this year. And we're putting together a calendar. We talked about this for years. And it's like, yeah, just finally just do the damn calendar. And so then we start going through all the photos, and it's real hard to figure out what the hell you capture because it's so dense. I don't even know that I fully am aware of just how many amazing stories we've created in this place that I've never really captured. And going back through all these photos and going back through all the artwork and the little posts, we're going back and looking at Google reviews and it's little things that people have sent to us along the way. That review of our story.
I'm blown away. I'm blown away just walking in here. It's a very creative atmosphere off the bat.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We had a little bit of a little rumble going on in here.
Oh, we can take the back noise.
Yeah, in the background here, I think like this is the thing that the work never stops, right? So right behind us and people that might be just listening to what we're doing, they might not even realize that at any given moment, there's something going on in this space that might have nothing to do with our concerts. Sometimes that's what people all think about when they think about the 5 Points Music Sanctuary. Oh, I saw this awesome band there. At the end of the day, in this building, we have music therapy going on in the afternoons. We have staff that's coming in and working on projects in which we raise money and funds for other organizations. We have weddings and birthday parties, celebrations, baby showers. We have memorials and ceremonies for people as we celebrate their lives. We also have these little things where I come in and meet with you guys like this, where we share a message to the outside world.
It truly is a sanctuary.
Yeah, it's a celebration of where it all comes together. There is not just one way we define our work here. It is not just about the shows. It is about so much more. It's about a way in which we create opportunities to, well, I say we. If I'm being selfish with myself for the reasons I started this, it was a way to create a philosophy about how do I approach my day. We talk about the little things and how they have profound impacts on people here. It's a philosophy that translates into almost everything we do. It is the small turns that we make in life that lead us to different directions. It is the opportunities to turn to people in our lives and tell them we love them. Or it is also the opportunity to reach out your hand and shake it with a stranger and find yourself a new friend or a new opportunity you might not have ever found otherwise. These little things that happen in our lives are, it's not just about leading to success, but it's about leading to fulfillment. It's about leading to a broader connection with the people around us.
A lot of people don't think that way, funnily enough. They may be aware of it subconsciously, but I don't think that's front and center,
Yeah.
But, that's a very healthy way of leading life, I think.
Humanism.
Yeah, absolutely. Individualism. Love it.
Well, I did something I normally never do. I hit record about 4 minutes ago because when Tyler starts talking, it's always going to be something really good, and I would never release that right there if y'all didn't want to. But that's a phenomenal start to. I don't even know if I should just start the show from here and let that be the beginning because that was a great segue. But
yeah, let it rip, let it roll.
It's an organic thing here. It's gravity, baby. That's gravity.
Yep.
So
it ain't no dress rehearsal.
You're right.
So I don't. I normally never do that, but I always kick myself in the hind end because I always think maybe if we just had the mics going the entire time, even for the pre-show or whatever, there's a lot of great stuff you get in there.
You don't want to catch me live 24/7.
No.
He shafted me on one of the shows. You shafted me on that, was it 3 episodes ago or maybe 4?
Which...
The Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels quote.
Yeah.
You got me dropping an F-bomb off the blocks.
Give me the Guy Ritchie quote, you kid.
I can't do it again.
You can ad-lib the F part.
We can.
It just comes out naturally.
It just comes out. It just comes out naturally. But it's my effing brain gun. Or the other one, which was an option, as one of the famous quotes from that film, is "You don't look like the average haughty effing culturalist."
Yeah.
If you remember that one, which would just have me in
When
tears.
he walked back down the street with a girl that was about half asleep and
just trash,
carrying one bag of plant soil or something. Okay. So, I guess this is a start. This is the Appalachian Podcast, 5.5 minutes in.
I got this great thing. So I went and did, my little sister has this annual Christmas party. Her husband's Jewish, and they do a big party at their house, and we celebrate Christmas. So we took some of the 5 Points crew down. We booked them a band. Isaac had an organ trio. Who's going to be playing here on December 30th here with Rebecca Todd. But we did a house party, and I'm sitting down there in my little red velvet, Christmas jacket, and this guy from Britain comes up to me. He's like, "You know what you look like, man?" And I was like, he's like, "Don't take this as an insult." And I'm like,
here it comes.
"Yeah, right." So I was like, "Okay." And "You look like Sting, man." And I was like, why would anybody take that as an insult? Sting's the man. And I go back, you said Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, right? And he's in the movie, and we were talking about how Sting is somebody that oftentimes people that you watch him in the movies, you have no idea who you're looking at because the context of how Sting is given to us is different. We think about the Police or Sting as a musician. The reality is he's a maven of a mind. And there are individuals in this world that no matter what they pick up and do, they can do some amazing things.
Yep.
And so the conversation went from this Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels scene straight into this concept of like David Burns and like really how we channel our minds to create these new outlets for how we just become better artists, better humans, better people, better friends, better professionals. That philosophy is something that you see. There's this book, there's several books that David Burns written. One of them's up in the green room, and it talks about the philosophy of how music and our experiences are defined by the context in which we experience them. It's like you go to CBGB, right? And the energy of that space was made by really just rough, tough, like vibe. It's like cinder blocks and like just it's rusted. It's like it's like
spit and sawdust,
right? And then you come into another place like this, and he says it's different, right? You got a different context for it. Neither one of them is invaluable, right? They both have opportunities to create this emotional outburst that which you can experience like energy of like artists, of expression, of community, of people coming together with sometimes the minds aren't as like as we think they are, but they come together on the same sort of like there's this glue that people it brings it together.
Now, it's funny you should mention Sting and the Police. Again, this is one of my hidden stories that doesn't come out very often. I actually met the whole band whilst they were recording, I think, Regatta de Blanc. And they were recording in a studio called Surrey Sound. I think that was the album. And it was right next to a chip shop, fish and chips, being an Englishman, of course. I mean, that's what we do for lunch. We break out of school, go and get a bag of chips. And right next to the fish and chip shop was the milk sale place. They go out on the milk floats and deliver milk at 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, above this place was Surrey Sound Recording Studio. And we're in there getting fish, our bag of chips, salt and vinegar, the usual. And who walks in? The Police. All three of them. And at that point, we were breaking out every single lunchtime to see if we could run into them again because we know they were going to be there. But they were above, this dingy recording studio above a milk distribution centre. And it just blows my mind. And the magic they created with that one album from that one studio. I mean, it's legendary.
Yeah. I tell you, I'm lucky enough. I have a great group, great family. My oldest sister is 7 years older than me, and she was, and so I'm 41. So in the 80s, I had access to all of the best of the 80s. Like I had a team that was filtering everything about the music and the videos, the movies. I had a perfect filter for it. It wasn't like Tyler getting fed his little like Rugrats or whatever the hell they would feed me and kind of pipeline me into whatever music it would end up being. But my sister was a huge Police fan, huge Sting fan. I remember, I don't know if it was me or not, but as a kid, I sort of carried this burden. I hope she doesn't listen. She one time lost, she had the tapes. And if you know anything about the 80s, your mixtapes were everything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was like, that's your damn iPods, your phone. Mm-hmm. And so she had this, pack of like TDK tapes that was sitting on top of her old Subaru. And I think I was supposed to grab them. She drove off.
Oh, no.
And then the tapes got lost. And I don't know that I was really responsible for this, but I know that I felt responsible because when she came back, she was so pissed she lost the tapes, and she's panicking. And like, she's like, I lost the tapes, and like, I got to get the tapes. And I'm like, what's wrong with, it's not that big of a, and I'll never forget how much she looked at me. And she like said, you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. These tapes are everything. And
almost irreplaceable.
Yes.
Almost irreplaceable.
And the whole family's kind of like, get out of the way. Don't just look, help. Don't make it any worse. So she's driving up and down the street trying to find these tapes. I don't remember whether she ever found them, but I remember challenging herself to the point where I was like, is it just tapes,
No, they're not just tapes.
That's right.
Oh, no.
They are little things that have profound impacts on us. Within the context of those tapes, there are hours in which we had to hit play, record, and dedicate our thought towards making a friend a mixtape.
Memories.
That's right. It's an intent and a purpose behind that action. We go back and we think about how music creates that point of intent and purpose. Those little things, they have profound impacts on the way we think about our relationships with people in our lives. They have profound impacts on the way we think about what we want to do with ourselves. It's not just say I want to listen to this music and become a rock star. To say that like the depths of lyrics that may not have much meaning to a lot of people might have more meaning to someone else than you ever realize. On my walkout, I've had hundreds of shows here, and there's a walkout playlist that I have on Spotify. And if you've been here enough, you might realize it's all the same damn playlist that I play at the end of every show. But I go and I pick out the first, I figure my staff probably going to give them 30 minutes at the end of every show to say, get out of here. So I got 30 minutes of songs that I set every single show that are different out of and on this walkout playlist.
From one playlist?
Yeah, and it's called the walkout playlist. Within each song, not about the name of the song, but there's a lyric or a point in which there's a lyric that expresses what I want them to do. So it could be like burning down the house, right? That comes right after the end of the show. We just crushed it. We're burning down the house. The next one might be like, okay, Tom Petty's time to get a move on, right? Inside, if you listen to these little lyrics, you'll hear one line that may have an innocuous effect on others, but for me, it's my little point of expression. It's how we use that music to create these little points of impact for people.
I've said this before, I think, on more than one show, music is the universal language.
It is, but everything's harmonious.
Oh, yeah.
Well, okay, we're 14 minutes in, but we got to get an official introduction here. For those who haven't figured it out yet, Simon and I are back at 5 Points Music Sanctuary with Tyler Godsey, and what a way to start the show. And I've kind of wanted to clue in Simon because he didn't get a chance to listen to our first show, and he's been such an integral part of the show here recently, and he sounds a lot like John Lennon, so people tend to want to tune in for that soul effect. And we're learning so much more about Simon, like even me, who I've known him for 5 years, been close to him 2 or 3 years now, and I'm just learning new stuff about his venture into the music business in LA, which, you kind of had mentioned. We're going to get to some stuff like it, perhaps on the show, but that's where we're at today. And kind of much like last time.
Are you digging up my past? Billy.
I'm not digging up your past. You have a phenomenal past. You have great stories, and we have highly considered maybe our next show leading up to Christmas, our Christmas special, is going to be maybe a Simon episode.
Oh, hell no.
And Chris Montgomery wants to be the co-host on that one, and you be the guest.
Oh, no.
So I think we might try and sneak that one in before Christmas, and then our New Year's show, of course, is going to be the Iraq special. We got some New Year's Eve specials from north of Baghdad and stuff. That's going to be a really good time. But I drug Simon over here today, and I've been talking this place up for quite a while now, and we just recently purchased myself, Simon, and Amos Crawford and Power tickets. We're going to be sitting. We got the barstool seats, so hopefully that'll be where it's at.
Which seats you want, though? Point to them. That's the thing about this place. There's only 250 people. We can roll out the red carpet and try and do as much as we can to make everybody's time here beautiful.
I think it's the one being closest to the bar.
Well,
was that obvious?
Seat taken.
Which will be maybe over on this side. That's seat taken.
But we did, and we encourage everybody, when you're going to be listening to this show when it drops, we've had Ethan and Jake on the show, Crawford and Power. They have done awesome stuff here lately. A huge local band. They've been on tour with Travis Tritt, who was one of the biggest, country stars of the 90s. They have been opening for him. That's great exposure. That's a great learning experience for them. They're learning, kind of the business, and for them to come here, I think it's such a perfect storm for this place and for a lot of people to listen to our show, because that was one of our good episodes. We loved, the Crawford and Power show. So we purchased our tickets for those, and we're encouraging everybody out there. We're not encouraging you to get them. We're encouraging you to get them fast because it's going to sell out.
Yep.
Another show I was looking at, I saw Winchester, 49 Winchester was coming here too. And that
fastest selling show we've ever had. Sold out in 2 days.
Coburn, Virginia.
I think it was 1 day.
Down in the coal fields in Coburn, Virginia is where they're from, and they're like blowing up, like huge. I really wanted to get tickets for that one too, and then I looked and done. So
I tell you, as I've come in here, one of the great things for me is to evolve in terms of how I sort of embrace people's art. Now, if you had just taken what I play on Spotify or what I've exposed myself to I'm a fish nut, I like the dead, I can trickle around, right? But the value that I've had of not only listening to a lot of music here, of different kinds, from country rock to bluegrass to jazz, all this, the real value of creating a relationship with the artists themselves has enabled me to be more receptive and open and understanding to these new genres and sounds and expressions of music that I never would have put myself to task for. But I now have these relationships with all these people like Ethan, and these people are just sitting around our purviews sometimes, and you have no idea the amount of amazing, epic talent that lies right next to you. You have no idea the creative capacity that some of the people that lie right around this community that often, not that they didn't get given a chance, because they do amazing stuff. They just don't go out there and ask for everybody to stare down at them and give them a lot of attention. They just do it because they love it. I've been given this world that has given me that context of understanding just how much talent and creative capacity and amazing artistic sort of perspective lies within our world. When we think about that, right? When we think about the things that people have right next to us that are often misunderstood, or they lack a platform, and you give them a little room for thought, you give them a little room for creative opportunity. Sometimes it doesn't go where you think it's going to go, but it's okay. Sometimes you capture lightning in a bottle that you just are blown away with. Absolutely blown away with.
That's a beautiful way of putting it. Lightning in a bottle.
And, we've been, and I can think back throughout our history here, from the musicians to the poster and visual artists to the staff to myself, to there are ways that we have brought people into this world of the 5 points that have provided this creative outlet that they never would have had otherwise. One of our poster designers, Matt Browning, from the Floorboards, amazing little Americana country rock band. And they came in and they wanted to do an album release. And they were actually the first band. There's an old picture that we have on Facebook somewhere. And I have a thread that's on my old little cover photo where I took a picture of the venue when I first walked in. Had like a top curtain, white walls, low stage. I mean, it's like, the hell is that? And at the time, Matt Browning and Jake Dempsey and the Floorboards came in here and they recorded their new album, Borrowed Moon. It was the first sound that was ever recorded in this room, before a concert, before anything else, in terms of 5 Points music. And I have these old pictures, and they came to do the album release. They're sitting on the stage, and they did. It's a beautiful show. It's actually one of my, I felt like I was starting to figure out how to work within the market and understand how I challenge myself to explore music that I might not have normally, understood or taken the time to embrace. Anyway, Matt comes in. He got this amazing poster cover art that he did for his album, and I looked at it and I was like, "Man, that's badass." Did you? He's like, "Yeah, I did that."
Wow.
And I said, "Really? It's you do the poster, all your brand?" He's like, "Yeah, I do it for everything." I said, "You ever done it for anyone else?" He said, "No." He'd never done it for anything else. He just did it for his little band, the Floorboards. And I looked at him. I said, "I got work for you." And he's like, "I don't know if I can do all these posters you want me to do." I said, "It's okay. You do what you want to do organically, but what you do is amazing. Forget just what you did on the stage. You've got this talent of composition that is inherent in almost everything you touch."
Little Pandora's box.
That's exactly right. And it's the way we think about the context of our talent sometimes. We sometimes think that this is all I can do. I'm just a sound guy, or I'm just a guitarist, or I'm just an actor. We forget that philosophy of relatively being fearless with ourselves, right, opens our minds up and to ways in which we can capture this creative process that's just as valuable no matter where we place it. I asked Matt to start designing posters for us. Since then, he had designed at least, if not more than half of our posters that we've done. And he'd never done a single poster or design for anyone else before he started this. We talk about, and forget just the posters. He's an amazing dad, amazing professional, amazing musician, but then he does all these poster work for us, and I throw it out there, and he's like, "You challenged me, Tyler, to be creative. You challenged me in a way that no one else really appreciated or recognized that I had the skill."
Well, he wasn't sharing that talent, and you saw that.
Yes, and that's exactly the point. The point of my gain here and the relationship that I've had in a lot of ways is that I find a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues, a lot of artists that have come in and had their own sort of point of expression. And through sharing in that, there have been points of expression that have evolved. We sit here today, we stand behind the mics, and you talk about your growth. The evolution of today in a gravitational concept is the fact that this is also being recorded using these amazing video setup that the city of Roanoke gave us a grant for. They gave us a grant to come in here and invest in a product that they believed in. They've done this throughout the pandemic. We've had a lot of amazing support here at 5 Points Music Sanctuary, in which we're trying to buy this building. We're trying to take what we've done for 6 years, create not only a product, but to create a philosophy and a mindset and an asset and a point of impact that is not predicated to just these 4 walls, but it starts here on these 4 walls. The impact of us growing creatively is captured in these little points of this video that we'll come back and we'll share to think about.
Well, you've powered through probably one of the most challenging periods in the last 50 years this country has seen.
We've all done that, but you're sitting here too. We've all had to power. We wake up tomorrow, we got to put one foot in front of the next.
That's
None of us
had
any clue about what's gonna come our way. When I started this year, we had this concept of we need to buy the sanctuary. I told my wife when I started, I said, "Babe, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know really what it's going to be right now, but just trust me." She's like, "I need 5 years to get through this. That's what every advisor, everyone said. So we signed a 5-year lease on this building, and we told ourselves at the end of it, if we don't figure out what this place has to do to work within 5 years, we're probably not going to figure it out. I told my wife that, and she said, might have 3.
Be persistent and give yourself some wiggle room.
Yeah,
Very optimistic.
Stay with 5.
She gave me 3. I thought maybe, does that mean 2?
Yeah.
No, and my wife has been an absolute, she's the only reason I'm still standing here.
There you
And
go.
the only reason I'm still waking up tomorrow and putting one foot in front of the next. The value of these people that challenge you, that say, yeah, that might be your expectation, but you can do better. It doesn't mean if I failed, if I didn't beat the 2-year, 3-year deadline. It meant that our natural tendencies of complacency become a weak spot in our ability to navigate the road ahead. We become like these immobile objects.
Yeah, complacency is not necessarily a good trait.
It's sometimes, though, that you get older, right? We're trying to find stability. We're
Right.
trying to balance the lightnings in the bottle that we capture with this point of stability that allows us to continue to do what it is we're trying to do. We have kids. We have families that are expanding. We have to think about how it is not just pedal to the metal all the time. There are moments in time when we got to gun it. And there are moments in time when we got to step back and take a more conservative approach, which the goal, though, really is to know when and how you got to flood it. And
Yeah, when are you coming off the gas?
that's the difficulty of it all. And sometimes you need those balancing forces in our lives that can look at you and say, right now, it's go time.
You've got a big funding challenge ahead of you. And to say that we need to be on the gas now is, I feel, a very appropriate moment perhaps to bring this up.
It is. Well, we're trying to raise ultimately $550,000 to buy the sanctuary, this point of impact. Beautiful building right here in Roanoke, Virginia. 250 people come in for our shows and rage it with us, shake that thing from side to side with the pinky high. We have artists that come from all over the world that have been to this place, and they send back a resounding message that's unlike anywhere else in the world. Not defined by size, not defined by greatness. It's just unlike anywhere else.
It's the vibe.
Yes.
I felt it as soon as I came in.
Now, when people think about 5 Points Music, inherently we started this concept built on this model where we use the shows as a marketing platform to fund programs like music therapy, hearing loss advocacy, accessibility programs, and more. In the lower level, we run a year-round music therapy program giving free music therapy to all types of ages with special needs. 3 years old with Down syndrome to veterans with PTSD. Our accessibility programs continue to evolve and expand, but they started right here in this venue. We started with backpacks that we put into the bench seats and fed into the PA system, and they vibrate with the music. Take the vibration, send it to the person wearing it. This goal of reminding people that the power of sound is not just what we hear, but what we feel, see, share collectively. Mix all that together in a pot, you get the moments of the shows and the lights, the band, the audience, they all hit. It's the apex moment we chase when, no matter where we're from, who we love, what God we love, all of it washes away. These programs, when it talks about our accessibility concepts, we started here, not with the idea like, yeah, this is why you give us money and support our causes. We started it here because we wanted to develop best practices for how these things scale. So as we've grown, we've hired over the past, like we talked about how difficult it was to come out of the pandemic. It was difficult, but no more difficult than a lot of people's lives are anyway. Yes, to me, it was the beautiful thing about it. It was a revolution of thought.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about revolution in terms of bloodshed often. And many times we forget that some of our greatest revolutions were the revolutions of thought. A great enlightenment period in which we understood the
Renaissance.
Yeah. And yeah, you still got to fight, and you still got to be willing to fight, right?
For the Renaissance, for anybody out there that needs translation. Can you say that again?
Goodness.
Say it again, please.
Renaissance.
Renaissance. I was just trying to translate for.
You're very kind, Billy.
No problem.
Riddle me this.
He got that accent agu on it.
He got me good on that one again.
But the pandemic was this thing that allowed each one of us to go into our homes, forced us globally, internationally. And we spent 6 months to a year reevaluating what's important. Looking at the people in our lives, looking at the, how do we spend our day?
Now, I think a lot of goodness can come out of that.
You're damn right.
Yeah.
It's something we're just realizing, the fruits of that experience. There is I don't think any one of us wants to go through that on a perpetual basis, but the health of that on a cultural level need to be realized and captured, not just on a physical health, but on a mental health. Now, it's a double-edged sword. There's a lot of people that came out struggling with it. What we try to do in this space here, as a philosophy of what 5 Points Music stands for, is to allow us a place in which we channel the angst, we channel the creative evolution, we channel the intellectual thought process, we channel all these sort of like fluid parts of our lives to try and find harmony with it, right? We went back to the pandemic and we thought about what's important to me: family, time. You know, I can go and work my $7.50 an hour job and sort of keep grinding away, but what's the point? I just got fired anyway for the past 6 months, and somehow I was still eating cans of beans and I still had toilet paper to wipe me. You know?
Delicately put.
But it was the reality. It was the absolute reality.
That's a fascinating angle on that, because you got a reality check, and it was a brick wall.
It was all. Well, look, I can't use the word awesome by any means. I look at it in a broader scale. I came in and I was worried when we talked about how we had to evolve as a business, as an organization, right? How there's these different periods in which when we come out, you got to be more aggressive. You got to know when to flood the pedal and when to step back. I'd been trying for years in the first couple of years to pull back on the number of concerts we did because there was a lot of risk that we put. I did 115 shows the first, 100 the second. I was on pace to do about the same for the third. COVID hits. And what I really wanted to do was to find a balance within the business model of this space, which is not just defined by the concerts. The concerts are a lot of risk. I wanted to put on 50 concerts and 50 private events, and then have our 4 big fundraisers a year, and then focus on our grants and how we leverage our programs, right? This building, when I started, I told everyone, I said, if we can make this model sustainable, right? Not about anyone making huge amounts of money, how sustainable. Then this thing, if I can make this work here, we can do a lot more outside these 4 walls.
The fact that you've made it thus far through the challenges says to me you found sustainability, or darn close to it.
It is. Yes.
And
yes,
that's
that's exactly right. That's why we decided to buy this building. That's why the board sat down at the beginning of this year and they said, look, we see that there's a lot of work to be done. There is a lot of risk that's still on the table. How do we reduce that? How do we leverage the staff? How do we leverage the product today to make this building work? And if they see this process, they recognize that there's an opportunity that we didn't even realize, or we did realize, but they recognize the opportunity towards that path of sustainability lies in front of us.
I think
you're a lot of work.
I think you're a great mouthpiece for this.
I better be. I'm the director.
Yeah. Well, the eloquence that you describe is exactly. You've made a perfect point. And to me, when you were talking about the pandemic, something that came out of the pandemic was that people are absolutely pissed off with the corporate greed and how the corporate USA runs the show and basically inflicts misery on the population with all sorts of unnecessary work hours, pressures on the family, both parents having to work, all of that becomes a negative thing. What is basically around corporate greed.
I mean, I don't, in a whole completely disagree with it, but I think that life provides the opportunity, and pandemics provide the opportunity for nuance.
Yes.
Within the mindset of that thought, if you dig deeper, you recognize that each one of us, doesn't matter which side of whether you're in a C-suite or whether you're down there with a broom on the warehouse floor, each one of us was forced to reconcile these ideas of what is important to us in life.
That's what I was getting to.
That's exactly.
We're now looking at
every single one of them, even the people in the high end and the low end, right? Every single person was forced to reconcile with that.
And
across the world, not just in America. It's amazing.
We're reflecting on it.
Yes. And so you think about that idea of reflection and, more importantly, inflection. What's important for me?
Yep. And
recognizing that what's important for me, even though it might seem selfish at times, you cannot help yourself if you can't help other people if you can't make sure that you're taken care of.
Yep.
Right? Now, that's a fine line. Because to me, I depend on both. There's times in my life where it's often easier for me to help somebody else and endear myself to what they need at my own expense. And this is a human problem, right? I have lots of friends that it's real easy to sit there and say, I want to help. But they know they got things that they're putting off on their own, like personal growth, because they're trying to help somebody else. I'm not immune to that same thing either. I look at this place and this world that I've built as a way to think about how do I make myself a better professional, a better dad, a better friend, a better husband, a better community steward. I am imperfect, but I have a responsibility, first and foremost to myself, second to my family, and third to my peers and professional partners, to wake up every day and figure out how I use this space to become better. And I do the same thing, and I challenge my staff, I challenge our volunteers, I challenge our artists here to approach their world in the same way. It is sometimes a relentless feeling.
That I can see that you're putting quite a lot of pressure on yourself by doing that. But I feel as though you're up for the challenge.
It's not about, well, that's exactly right. So for 5+ years, I have woken up every day, carried the pressure of making this whole thing work. Many people didn't understand the numbers. They didn't understand the book. They never understood how close to the cliff's edge and sometimes how far off the side of the cliff's edge I hung. However, as we've gone through these past year and a half, what I've challenged everyone to understand what's really, what do we have? Understand what makes this work, right? And that sense of pressure that they've been pressed on to, that people have taken on, it is a burden that some people, I feel, unfairly have to navigate. But it is real. It is life. You're going to wake up tomorrow, and it doesn't mean that we have to live and die by this sense of life is just too freaking tough. It means to say that is just the way it is. It is a mindset. As you get older, the odds of everything happening to you diminish more and more and more. The pressure, and what David Bowie said, under pressure coming down on me, it continues to build and build and build. As evolving humans, as evolving minds, recognizing that with each year, with each day, with each experience, with each challenge, with each pandemic, with each opportunity, with each podcast, we have a chance to not only embrace and understand the collective pressure that each one of us feels, we have a chance to relieve some of that from each other by showing points of empathy, right? I see there's a pressure of an artist that comes in here to create, that they didn't have a platform to create during the pandemic. We give them that platform. We say, come in, practice. No one's in here. You got a venue. Develop your music. We come in, we say, do a webcast. There's the pressure of an artist or employee that we're trying to figure out how do they navigate this 5 Points Music Sanctuary when all of our money was coming, well, not all, but a bunch of our revenues coming in through tickets and alcohol sales or whatever. That's opportunity. Pressure for us at that point allowed us to say, you shift right now and you make sure this product is ready to roll from grant writing and programs, and you make sure that your private venue rentals are developed so that when 50 people need to come in here for a wedding, you make that work. 25 people during a pandemic need a space where they can get a socially distant model. You take that pressure you evolve. Not all of us are wired to handle it that way. My struggle...
Which is why we're unique and it's such a beautiful thing.
That's right. How do we channel our own abilities to create perspective, to create inspiration to each other? It's a task that lies before us. It lies before me. I come in. I know I'm wired differently than the rest of my staff. I put a lot of burdens on them. I ask them to focus on the day in, day out tasks that keep the venue together. Like, make sure that the venue rental requests are being responded to. Make sure that the programs downstairs are taken care of. That like the tenants when they come in are happy, clean. Make sure the private shows run. And then I come in and I throw them a wild curveball. Oh, by the way, guys, during this staff party where a band's supposed to be doing a sound check and like catering supposed to come in, I got a podcast that we're gonna throw right in it.
Good job. I know the drummer's itching to just unleash on that kit right now.
Yes. So here's the beautiful thing about it, and the task that's the double-edged thing too. The staff recognizes the value of balance. They recognize the value of shifting and being malleable within the world that's been given to us.
Well, we've got to reach out here. I feel it's a responsibility that we've got to reach out for your investors to step forward, because we got a timeline, I believe, from what you're saying, where we need to approach this, and the music and arts historically has always been at the mercy of commercialism, and to a certain extent about being funded with grants,
But see, this place right here, let me tell you this. I started this with a goal. And when I said, like, I had 3 different models in my mind before I chose on this specific model. I said, if we choose the nonprofit status as a goal for how we structure this, as a fundamental rule, there's no excuse to have a bad business model. You are not entitled to people's support. You not only have to earn it, but you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, even though your own 2 feet are propped up by an army of supporters and people that make it work. But you cannot have your feet held to the fire by a single source of funding or a donor or sponsor. We talked about buying this building. We need $200,000 by the end of this year to make a down payment on it. The building will become ours at that point. We still got to raise the money to close off that debt payment, buy the building outright. The sanctuary is positioned in a place in which our impact will have no time limit other than our own ongoing sustainable, work.
And you're on that path beautifully.
Yes, but we need your help. You can go to 5pointsmusic.com. You can donate to our website, 5pointsmusic.com/donate if you want to get right there. You can check out exactly what we do on a programming concept, because it's not just, if you talked anything about, if you take anything from the day, you take a lot of the philosophy that drives what we do here. There is a story behind every single thing that we do, and there are points of impact that we have yet to capture, and there is opportunities for us to not only take what we do here and expand it to a universal concept. That's where we're going.
You've got a vision here, and you're on the precipice of an empire, dare I say it.
No empires.
Well, not that kind of empire.
Corporate empire. No.
But you know what I mean. I think you've got something. It's on the verge. I'm not going to say unique, because that's a grossly overused word. But you've got something here that's
different,
really special.
It's different. It's unlike anywhere else in the world. Yeah. Artists tell us this. We have people that travel from all over the country. They come in and they say, "I've never been anywhere like this." And I don't want to take that as arrogance. It is not I sit there and say, "Yeah." I sit there and say, take that feeling, take that message, spread it. Because all it is, at the core essence of it, is a moment of intent with the person right next to you. That moment of intent, no matter whether you're coming here to book at a venue, whether you're coming to play a show, whether you're dancing for the show, whether you're in part of our therapy programs, whether you're somebody I meet on the side of the street, whether you're a guest, it doesn't matter where it's at. The moment of intent to capture a split second in which our simple and seemingly insignificant words and thoughts might have a profound impact on the person around us is something we should honor. It's something we should take advantage of. And it's something we should never forget. We should never discount the power of that. Never discount the power of our simple words. That goes both ways.
That is profound.
Goes both ways. So honor that. Don't forget that. Recognize your intent. I could come off sometimes when I'm talking to my staff. I have an intensity about me. And I say these things not because I'm always good at it. I mean, I'm cognizant and I'm constantly working on it. But I often, when I find myself in conflict or I find myself in points of how did I get to this spot? It's because I forgot how I say things and how I project myself has a profound impact around me. That idea is really difficult, but when we think about this cultural revolution of thought, that's what it's about. In this space, we use the shows, we use the therapy and accessibility programs and the music and hearing loss advocacy effort to leverage that concept. We use our private events to bring people together, in which I see it on the stage, and one of the things they often ask me to do when they buy the event is I offer a custom toast in which they get Tyler to get up and speak eloquently about something that means something to them. These little moments are what makes everything out there manageable. These little moments are also what makes everything out there a burden. How we decide to deal with that is what we try to think about here. And it's how we empower each other to realize that our own, by the way, I had no idea y'all came totally tag teamed up with your flannels here until just now. I totally wouldn't face it.
It was so unintentional, but thank you for
I shouldn't have interrupted a deep thought, but it's about here how each one of us comes in with our own mindsets. And if I can do anything, if I can empower each one of you to think more confidently, think more progressively about how your mind has capacity beyond anything you've ever thought, then I've done a successful thing for me as a human first and as an organization second.
That's empowerment.
Yes, that's exactly right.
That's empowerment. Pretty heavy shit right there, right?
Yeah, I got to thinking about a couple of points you made. One about lightning in a bottle, and then another you said what else you can do outside these walls, and it kind of got me back to thinking. Been doing a show for kind of a while now, and we were super blessed for the longest time just to have what we had going. I mean, our audience or our reach didn't really reflect the beautiful stories and the wonderful guests we'd had on the show. I mean, I can
empathize.
We were really out kicking our coverage. We really were. And it just so happened to be kind of like you said, lightning in a bottle about a month and a half, 2 months ago. We kind of made a little bit of a change. Simon kind of came on board on a more permanent basis. At the same time, out of all these unique, crazy, wild, super talented, musicians and athletes and race cars that we've had on the show, a guy who is just trying to build a hotel, take an old building and renovate it and bring new life to it, breathe it and make his own story with it, breathe some new life into downtown. All of a sudden that show for some reason just blew it out of the freaking water. And now, we're in what we expected to get, maybe in a week, we're now getting the first day as far as when we drop a show. Like, it's crazy how you just drag on to that moment and all of a sudden the ebb and flow just kind of starts going and you don't really have any control of it.
And it's not to diminish anything you did before. Everything you did before allowed you to have the kindling.
To get to that moment.
That spark, when that spark hit, dog.
Yep, it was an ember.
That's exactly right. And you're consistent.
Well, and it leads me to this. So we get to this point and now I'm over here for our second show, and much like last week's show, it took us about 45 minutes to get into the reason why I wanted to come over here and do this show. Like Billy's show last week on the fiddle, we didn't talk about the fiddle till 45 minutes in. Today, we finally get to the point. I wanted to come over here and introduce a whole new group of people to this location, to this spot, to why this space is special for me. And, the last time we had Bodine, today I bring Simon, and I'm just kind of interested in Simon's purview because normally he's the one that articulates things very well, and I think Tyler, you complement each other very well. So when I bring you over here, I've talked about this place, and you come in here and you sit down and you see it and you feel it. I mean, I'm just kind of curious as you've sit here for about 2 hours and conversated, where is your mind at?
I'm blown away. I feel that it's only a few people will know this. Who knows? They may not even know it at all. It reminds me of the Town and Country Club in North London. You know, it's got that personal feel to it. It's got some magic. I mean, just the whole vibe in here. It's smoking. You know, this place has got something special, and the more people that come and support, sponsor, donate, just get this off the mortgage books, right? And you know where this is going to go.
Make it your goal. Come out here and see a show. Find somebody, maybe don't even find somebody that you think you might relate to. Find somebody that is a little bit out of your purview. Find a different band. Find something unique, because there are so many different amazing acts that come. I love, keeping in contact with what's going on over here, because there's always so many different unique opportunities to see phenomenal acts. And during the summer, you close off the streets down here, and you have big acts coming down here. You have multiple vendors showing up. So you're coming here and you're supporting local people who are setting up their shops, their tents, kind of like Shakedown Street.
Yeah.
And everybody's got an opportunity to come and flourish.
Now, and I mentioned this earlier, and there are some very wealthy folks within, the city limits of Roanoke and beyond that listen to this. And I know for a fact, and I've been witness to it on a number of occasions, where the wealthy folks do donate, they do support the arts, and they enable a place like this to thrive. Now, think what this would be like creatively if you didn't have the shackles of a mortgage or a lease, or you owned outright. Those shackles would free your mind up.
They would, but I'll tell you what they also do. Again, when I started 5 years ago, we set a deal with the building owner and said, look, give us a deal. Let me come in and give myself 5 years. Those aren't shackles. They're training wheels, right?
Objectives.
They're saying, you better get, like if you can make this work at that level, then take training wheels off and ride that bike down the Greenway, dog. And here we are. It is not shackles. These are things that are not holding us back. These are things that are opportunities for us to grow and thrive. When we talk about our point of impact being confined to these four walls, it is not necessarily confined to these four walls. This place serves as the creation of a lot of those points of impact.
No, I stand corrected. I see what you're driving at.
Yeah, we're not asking for people to support us because the business model doesn't work. Quite frankly, if we've gone through that pandemic, and as I started talking about, I kind of got lost in the train of thought, but the reality was that we strove over the past couple of years to develop a more sustained model in which instead of doing 100 concerts a year where you're throwing a lot of money and a lot of time, that's one every 3 days. You got to book a show, you got to negotiate, you got to market, you got to buy the invitation. You don't got any time in the year to do that. So now we come back, we have a goal in 2023. We'll do 50 concerts. We'll do 40, 50 private events. We'll do 4 big fundraisers, our annual dinner in January, our dinner in the dark in June, our Golf for Sound tournament in October, and our Giving Tuesday benefit concert in November. We reduced the chaos of all these just challenging things of just trying to Tyler's whimsical, creative concepts of podcast before a big party for the staff, right? These little things I try to reduce from their workload. And it allows them to do what they do. It allows the model, as we defined it, to be refined and to be on point. We still got to get some people to come in and recognize that our support that we're asking for, it's not because we're not doing what we need to do. It's because we made a great deal with partners when we started, and as good business partners, as good community stewards, as people that try to live up to their end of the deal, no matter who we're talking to. We have a responsibility at the end of it. They gave us an extended year after COVID to make sure that we got the thing figured out. The board said, let's buy the building. You guys can pull this together. We're done. We got it. I need right now, I need to get anything beyond that, but by January 1st, I got to have a check in the hand of the building owners for $200,000. It will be financed through the owners. Easy, quick, clean. Our campaign does not stop there as we continue. That keeps my my, my mortgage rate pretty much at the same thing that I'm paying for my rent. that campaign continues because we got to buy the whole building outright. In that sense, we are removing the shackles. That frees up some money and some overhead of the building, but it also allows us to create an asset point. I think that in time I had a 5 and a 10-year sort of outline in my head about what I wanted this to do. We're pretty much right there. Now my head is expanded to the next 5 and 10-year outline. There is an explosion of growth and opportunity that lies, provided we make this building work. The expansion of our programs has already seen a lot of growth where we go to as far away as Pennsylvania and all over Southwest and Central Virginia to provide access to our programs, not just our music therapy program, but our production services, our accessibility programs. The growth outside these 4 walls has been one of the reasons why we feel really good about where we're going.
I have absolutely no doubt. Now, just confirm this. I met you 2 hours ago.
Has it been that long already?
Maybe 2 hours.
It's been the longest 2 hours of my life.
No, don't. Oh, man, I'm crushed. I have absolutely no doubt that you will succeed. None whatsoever.
I have no doubt that I'll succeed no matter what happens, right? Because there will be failures along the way. There will be failures, every opportunity to fail every step of the way. But we cannot become complacent. We cannot be afraid. We have to wake up every day and recognize that a failure is only a failure, and we choose not to learn from it. If we throw enough pasta against the wall and it falls down, so be it, but learn from it. We have learned and taken so much from the past 6 years as a staff. The first 5 years was really Tyler trying to figure out, you got to quit being stubborn, right? And that's me in general. But I learned every single day how do I adapt. Every single opportunity we have is a learning opportunity. Don't be afraid of our failure.
As is every failure.
Yeah, we wake up tomorrow, the world will change. We get a pandemic 3.0, right?
And again, I've said this before.
What do we do?
They didn't call WD-40 for a reason. It's because it failed 39 times previously.
Yes, sir.
Now that to me is someone's got some balls to keep going. And that's learning through mistakes. And I love it. If you ain't failing, you ain't pushing hard enough.
I was telling somebody you walk up to the green room. I got 3 pictures that my stepfather, amazing artist, Steve Stinson, painted. And it's the 3 Stooges. And they sit right as you come into the door of the green room. My kids, when they were growing up, I would watch the 3 Stooges with them instead of sometimes Dad, I don't want to read, but can we watch 3 Stooges episodes before we go to bed? And I watched the 3 Stooges with them for a little bit. We watched like 3 or 4 episodes on YouTube. Now, did you ever know that the 3 Stooges was a product that took, I think, over like 20 years for anyone to buy it?
Wow.
It was recorded, and it was just, this is like in the 20s or whatever it was. It was recorded, and it was just sat. And they tried to sell it and sell it and sell it, and they didn't sell it till like 20 years after it was made. Think about that today. Think about if you took this podcast and you had it 20 years and you said, 20 years from now, it means nothing to me today, but I can sell it. Can you imagine how much you would have forgotten about all the things you did 20 years ago that were failed ideas?
Numerous.
We have instant gratification on our minds these days.
That's all appears to be the driving force, and it's wrong.
It doesn't come that way. It comes in the form of just recognizing if we can't get instant gratification in the biggest things that we want, the seemingly insignificant and much smaller things right around us that make us feel much better than we ever imagined. It is a nice taste of rum or bourbon at the right appropriate time. It is a warm smile or a hug from a friend or a family member that you haven't seen in time. It is the shaking of that thing from side to side while the band is bumping it from the highest point on the stage. It is seeing your kids walk out Christmas morning and watching that the training wheels that you put on that bike busted because you didn't put them on tight enough. Happened to me.
Oops.
The little things that we hold on to are what drives it all. The gratification for us is often misplaced. And yes, the value of the things that mean you need money, you need health, you need food, you need a roof over your head. When we go back and we talk about that revolution of thought that this world has kind of given us, how we appropriate what's important is captured in how we work today. Every single one of us. It's the choice of who we choose to talk to, who we choose to spend our time with. It's the choice of how we choose to spend our money. It's the choice of how we choose to wake up every single day and be the humans that we want to be.
Time being the most valuable asset that you have to give.
In which you have no guarantee or promise beyond anything other than right now.
Right on.
So honor that.
Mm-hmm.
And if people can do anything right now to help us, I ask them to go to 5pointsmusic.com. If you want to learn more about our program, search our website. Check out our story online. Most importantly, please go to 5pointsmusic.com. Make a donation. Help the sanctuary as a building sustain its point of impact for the long haul. Allow me to empower the staff and the people that have come in and given everything they can to learn, to grow, to become better humans, to become better artists. Give them the capacity to have a space that impacts not just this little world right here, but the world beyond us. Allow me the opportunity and honor to continue to bring in people from all over the world and challenge them and challenge myself on how we reimagine what we do. Because life is fluid, it is malleable. There are things that we want to hold on to keep it stable. And one of the things that we need to hold on to keep it stable for us, that we really want to hold on to, is making sure that the sanctuary is our forever home. We are not opposed to any support by any means. $5 donations are just as valuable as $50 and $500 donations. But if you have the means, if you have 5, if you have 50, you have 10, 50, whatever you have, you can call me up because I have a plan. I have a concept that's not built on ongoing support. I don't need it every year. I'm not asking for your support to keep the lights on. I'm asking for your support today to make sure that this place, this particular spot, can operate on a sustainable level. I can take what I've built here and expand it and go and have a bigger impact beyond these 4 walls.
That's a great message.
Yeah.
I hope we can reach out to a big audience.
Well, and I think we will. And I encourage anybody and everybody out there, look, like I said, go find an artist, whether you may know them or whether it might be a genre that you're not familiar with. You're going to come over here and you're going to find a way to make a memory. For me, this place will always be special to me for 3 reasons. Reason number 1 is the first show I got to see over here was one of our first musical guests on the podcast. We got to see Jared Stout Band over here. Secondly, it's one of the last places me and my wife got to hang out before we had our second child. Being able to come over here and see Runaway Jen and have her enjoy herself and DD me home was, something means a lot to me. And then third, the podcast we got to do here then and today, because I really enjoy coming over here. I really enjoy allowing people to hear Tyler speak. Simon and I, we barely had a chance to say anything this episode, and that's what makes it so phenomenal. Tyler articulates things so well, and everything he has said should make sense to anybody listening. Look, come support the place, like he said. We, as far as a Patreon is concerned, we understand exactly what he said, $3, $5, anything. Every little bit helps to some degree. You never know, that extra dollar might reach, that extra dollar you might give.
It is a point of intent that we build upon. Not all of us have that money, but if you make that intent, you dedicate whatever you can to support, I promise you that if everybody did that, we will have no doubt a successful effort in what we try to do. But don't do it because you feel like you have to. Do it because you want to. Do it because you know that this place has a point of impact that means something, and it affects all of us in ways that you might not even be aware of until you learn more about it.
The guys that appreciate music will know what this venue is in years to come.
Well, we'll be over here in 3.5, 4 weeks, Simon, for
yes, we will.
Crawford and Power. Once again, encourage everybody to go buy tickets for that show and then any other show you get a chance to see. Tyler, thank you so much for your time. I know you got a a little private show going on here afterwards.
Well, it's a soiree. We are celebrating partnership. Pumpernickel Pickle has been an awesome caterer for us over the years, and they have come in tonight and they want to do a big staff collaborative party. So we've got Jeremy Price and one of his bands playing here. You know, we talked about the pandemic real quick. I know we're trying to go.
No.
One of the things that I talked about, the things that come out of the pandemic, the band Rootlock. They played one show, and they came here for his band Consider the Source that opened up. And they never heard of this guy before. They played 45-minute set, and they never played a show anywhere else. There was 3 guys. One of the guys was partners at Pumpernickel Pickle. The other guy, Jeremy Price, playing tonight, and another guy was 3 guys came in together in the pandemic, and over the course of 1 week, with 45 minutes of music. They did this one show, and by far and away, it was one of the highlights of my last year. It was seeing exactly what we talked about, the fruits of the labor of going through that grit, grind, and determination of what you do when you got nothing else to do but just figures, express yourself, and you got no platform. They came out here and they crushed it. Pumpernickel Pickle had to reevaluate how do they provide their services in a post-COVID world. All those things were incredibly valuable. We need to recognize that. We need to support it. We need to make sure that the people in our world that make an effort day in, day out, wake up and figure out how to be a better human, how to be a better professional, how to be a better community steward, make sure they get the opportunity to do that. We have to hold them accountable. We have to challenge them. We cannot make them live in fear of failure. We have to encourage that, because within that, you get the gold and the lightnings in the bottles that we all talk about. I thank you guys so much for coming here today.
Give us that webpage one more time.
Yeah, please go to 5pointsmusic.com/donate. Help support our efforts to buy the sanctuary. Make sure that our home is forever home. Please go and check out our tickets on our events. And there's not a single bad show you can pick up here. Not a single one. Got 3 shows coming up over New Year's Eve. They will sell out. Make sure you go and get them early, because we cannot guarantee that will last. January is looking beautiful. People are asking why I'm still booking shows in January if I don't know I got the building. That's because I know each one of you out there listening right now is going to go and do anything you can. Go to 5pointsmusic.com. Make a donation. $5, $50, $500, $5,000. Make a donation, anything you can. Tell people about the wonderful things we're doing here at 5 Points Music. Make sure that you guys know we wake up every day serving as a point of inspiration for each other. I'm trying to find a way to put one foot in front of the next. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate y'all being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Really appreciate it.
And for everybody else, for us, if you want to be able to support us as well, patreon.com/getontap. Thank you so much. We've got new Patreon supporters every single week that, just $3, you get subscriber-only content. You get all the shows early. And I think maybe Simon, maybe in the next day or so, we need to come up with something, and we're going to do like an online raffle or something like that, and all the proceeds will go.
We'll figure something out.
We're going to do something like this for Tyler. We're looking forward to this little after-party shindig here and sticking around, maybe having a drink or two. So thank you for coming over here tonight, Simon, being a part of this. Tyler, it's been a pleasure as always, and we look forward to seeing you here in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, man. Thank you, guys.
Take care.